inched our way out of Mykonos Marina, those somewhat concerned looks of ours were caused by earlier discussions of whether our neighbouring yacht had possibly crossed our anchor chain with theirs. And Kim's concerns focused on her motion wristbands as she became anxious about another day of huge waves and hair-raising sailing.
Up, thank you.
The memory from 2 days ago of the massive waves and howling winds we encountered for an entire grueling day to reach Mykonos was still fresh in our minds. We sailed up close to the volcanic island of Aspro as we made our way to the southernmost tip of Syros. The sails began to fill out in tune to the increase of the wind, which thankfully held steady at around 25 knots and provided us with the most exhilarating sailing we could have imagined. Even Mike was excited about the prospects for a great sail today.
Mike, what does the GP say? GPS say?
7.7 knots.
Okay.
Dean's a real speed demon.
Dean made the most of the wind as he navigated the yacht on a toboggan ride down to Syros. He kept the wind on an efficient broad reach for most of the way as we literally flew across the water. Yes, even great sailing must come to an end sometime, as Doug and Kirsten get an early glimpse of the southern tip of Syros Island, at which point we'll do a starboard tack for the short sail up to Finikos Harbour. After a truly magnificent sailing day, and having arrived early in the afternoon, Dean decided to try his hand at med-mooring for the first time, and Finikos Harbour looked like the perfect place to do it. Initially, Dean took the yacht up close to the quay, so we could choose a good position and get a clear idea of any mooring concerns to look out for.
Mike, I would say that
Once we were completely satisfied with our mooring plan and confident that there were no lazy lines available, we motored out slightly further than usual so Dean could spin the yacht around and take his time to line up his med-mooring approach perfectly.
face the way you're going. Okay. Okay, if you can go more there. Start from far out. You work your way in slowly. Okay?
Okay, Dean is now well on his way. With us all having learnt a really tough lesson in Paros a few days earlier for failing to ensure that the bow anchor had bed itself securely, we now made a special point of checking this before we reached the quay, so we would have sufficient time to abort the med-mooring operation if necessary.
Stop the anchor. Okay, let it go a bit. Let it go a bit. Stop the anchor. Okay, tighten the anchor a little bit, Doug. Tighten up the anchor a little.
We'd spotted evidence of the strong Meltemi winds having taken their toll on several yachts, although this was probably the worst we had seen. We had left Syros in nearly windless conditions and consequently needed to use the motor during the first part of the crossing. It was a cloudless morning, which was too good to waste, and so we chose to just laze around in the warm sun. The gentle lapping of the water against the hull was the only sound we could hear. Soon it was midday, and happy hour had arrived.
Digging right behind the wheel.
Yeah, nice and cold as well.
Yeah, the bridge is kicking.
working now.
Oh, you let it drink and drive? I don't know, I think so.
Shop for telephone poles.
Was that the wind picking up? Not really. The wind transducer recorded 12 knots of wind, with our boat speed just under 4 knots. In comparison to the winds we'd become used to, this was equivalent to being becalmed. Once Dean had taken a second, or was it a third beer, Mike swiftly relieved him of his helmsman duties. That's Doug collecting firewood for this evening's barbecue of chicken and steak.
We gotta get those to break down and coal it up. I think it's gonna be hot, plenty hot.
It's easy to visualize why this spot has become one of our favorite anchorages.
They'll get, red, and then we can probably stick something like this.
It was another perfect evening swinging free on anchor at Sandbar Bay on Kithnos Island.
We're cooking right now.
Yeah, it's kind of doing, right? No.
No?
Oh!
What's that in your hand, Doug?
Ah, we got a little steak here.
Put it back.
Hold on, let's see if we can get it on board.
I took it.
There you go.
This is Mike's steak, huh?
Don't take a bite out of it.
Apparently it is.
No, we're out of water. Did you?
Get over by that. Get us back in the boat.
You agree?
Alright, start fishing up.
Yeah.
Before the crowd comes.
Looks good.
How do you
We discovered that dropping anchor for a lunch stop in a tranquil bay to swim and snorkel in crystal clear water is a wonderful privilege which should never be missed. On the way back to Lavrion, we encountered steady winds and great sailing, allowing us time to reflect on some of the more memorable moments of our yachting holiday in the Cyclades islands of Greece. As we swung the bow towards Attica, the Greek mainland, we began to run before the wind, and so this dead downwind presented us with the perfect opportunity to run goosewing for the final leg home.
Oh, there he is. Waiting for us. In the flesh.
Go first.
Okay, lazy line. Yeah, get on that side. Move down.
Over the past 2 weeks, we've visited many islands and anchorages on the Aegean Sea. We've enjoyed the romantic food experience and learnt the culture of the people in villages and cities, which we might otherwise never have seen in our lives. We chose tavernas by simplicity. A peek inside to sniff the air to decide whose cooking aroma enticed us the
We're
most.
just gonna tighten the lazy line. You okay, Mike?
The reality of being able to approach an island and cruise effortlessly into a secluded cove was the true thrill of our sailing adventure. And our frayed flag was a true testimony of the strong Meltemi winds we experienced along the way.